Okay, Sam. Well, we're on the first hole here. We got a par 3 in front of us. So we just want to talk about some things with the initial tee shot. I would say that you want to feel confident in what you're doing, and I'm going to give you some suggestions and course management items that you can think about that will hopefully spark that confidence to take you from a good range session onto the first tee shot. Have you had a course management lesson before?
Never.
Okay, perfect. And how did your warm up this morning on the range go?
It was all right. A little cold.
It was yes, it is cold. But you had a pretty decent ball striking on the range today? Okay.
Yeah.
How do you normally feel when you go to the first tee shot? Do you feel nervous? Do you feel tight? Like, what thoughts go through your head?
Yeah, a little nervous.
Okay.
I feel like I need to guide it probably.
Okay. So it's not as freeing as when you get to hole 4 or 5 or you kind of get into your mood for the day?
I would agree.
Do you do anything that kind of helps your nerves? Do you think about anything or try to do anything that helps with that?
I usually just kind of zone in on my target. I try to at least.
Okay.
Narrow mind on my target.
Okay, so the way that I like to explain it, and I think I probably overanalyze these things, but I do it so quickly just because I'm used to it, is I like to look at this particular shot, similar to what you said, but basically my goal with course management is to hit the best shot possible, but to be prepared that if I do not hit the best shot possible, I'm still in a good position that I can get up and down and make par or not blow up a hole, right? So if we were to look at this hole in front of us right here, I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions. I know that you like to draw that chip going in there, but do you feel like the main trouble to you is short or long?
Short.
Short. And then do you feel like the main trouble to you is left or right?
Right.
Right. So we've got short being a problem and right being a problem. So then I would almost pick more of a zone. And then I personally, on this hole, I would be rangefindering the pin to get my number. And then I would also be rangefindering the back of the edge back part of the bunker there. Because this downhill right now looks kind of daunting that there's not a lot of space in that tucked pin right there. But actually it's almost like a relaxing thing, like, oh, I have 20 yards behind that pin. I actually have a lot of space.
Yeah.
And if I'm feeling tight and nervous, even if I miss hit this one, I'm going to make the right club decision to be in a good spot and not kind of screw up the first hole. So the other things that we need to talk about is the wind. This is unusually perfect today. So we don't really have a whole lot going, but that's something that I would calculate when you're on the golf course. And then we also want to look at the slope as well too. So are you aware of what to do with your clubs when it comes to uphills and downhills?
Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty decent at it.
What is do you calculate 10%? What's your thought process?
I usually think of it in terms of yardage.
Okay.
So this looks about maybe 5 to 7 yards downhill.
Okay.
So that I just kind of
go up it.
Yeah, I go off it. A lot of it's based off I have a sloped rangefinder.
Yeah, so you'll practice with
the
slope,
yeah,
and
exactly.
then when you're playing tournaments, you don't.
I can kind of see it.
Okay, perfect. That's a great way to practice. So the other thing that I would suggest here, so go ahead and you can rangefinder the pin.
105.
Okay.
And
that's okay. We can definitely go back and get different clubs. That is fine. So we've got 105. We're going downhill. So what are you putting that in your brain as?
98.
Okay. But then if we're going to err on the side of trouble, we want to do longer rather than shorter.
Yes.
Does that put you in between two clubs?
No, I think that's probably a perfect, just smooth 56.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you were in a situation where that put you in between two clubs, I always tell people to make sure you're utilizing the whole tee box, particularly when we're starting on par 3s.
Yeah.
So if you're in between those two clubs, we can go 2 club lengths back.
Yeah.
And that might give you the number that you're looking for. And then again, like we discussed, making sure we err on the side of trouble. We want to be long rather than short when it comes to this hole.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing then I would start to work at this on the driving range, is just creating yourself a pre-shot routine, which I'm sure that you have.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things that we can do in there to help with nerves and pressure. The quickest 2 that come to mind is just kind of having a deep breath before you hit the tee shot, using some sort of visualization to put a positive thought in your head, and then also potentially just having a little wiggle or something before you go to kind of loosen up that elbow tension and what you're feeling before you tee off. Do you feel any nerves, if you tee off first or if you tee off second?
I'd say it's probably usually the same.
Same. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm the person that has to be first, all the time. So I will very much be ready and prepared and try to get up there first when it comes to the first tee shot. So as you're playing with other people, kind of think about that as well too, and see if you feel like you hit better shots after watching somebody hit a shot, or if you feel like you don't want to have that visual and you want to go first. That's another way that you can kind of control those nerves.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you see on this first hole or have questions with?
No, it's pretty clear.
Okay. Awesome.